And on the 15th day of Flashmas, Newgrounds gave to me. Defend your castle. So, the last game that we played, we managed to preemptively stop an invasion by some giants by destroying their beanstalk that they were planning to climb down to invade our land. But this time, the barbarians have already made it to our castle, and we need to defend it at all costs. So let's get inside our castle and weather off this incredibly bloody storm that seems to be falling all around us. Stage 1. Defend your castle. So, here we are with Defend Your Castle. There doesn't seem to be anyone to defend it against, so that's good. Maybe we can just hang out inside and ignore everything around us. Oh, no, here's somebody. Here's somebody and they're banging on our castle. They want to get inside, but there's no room. So, let's try and stop him. No, he doesn't seem to want to go. Well, then maybe we should just throw him straight in the air and kill him. This is going to be an incredibly bloody defense. So, the goal of this game is very simple. We just defend our castle with our God Fist. Oh, but sadly that guy didn't get to land. That guy managed to survive, or maybe he's now living in purgatory. Looks like we can upgrade our buildings. We could also repair. But if we start repairing our structure, then in reality all that's going to do is put us behind. And we need all the points we can to upgrade our defences. Do we have a sore wrist? I don't know. Do we? The page is not found. So, our wrist hurts, but there's nothing we can do about it. We tried telling them, we tried giving them a warning that our wrist was sore, that we can't possibly keep picking up and throwing these people, there's nothing we can do. But they don't care. They've told us to defend the castle, and they don't care of the price we have to pay. The punishment to our wrist. Well, let's get that out of here. And let's continue. Stage 2. Defend your castle. So it looks like we've killed 5 of them so far. And it's going to get a lot more bloody than that. This is just the calm before the storm. The storm of blood and guts. So the game starts off. Oh, you managed to survive. Well done. It starts off very simple. There isn't really much to do. But of course this is going to get harder as it goes on. And sooner or later we're not going to be able to defend ourselves. I'm surprised that guy managed to survive. His acrobatic skill must be very high. There's the only way to reduce fall damage. But it wasn't high enough. And this guy just used the scroll of Acarian flight. And all it did was kill him. We now have over 1,000 points, but it's going to be quite a while until we can upgrade to a temple. So, for now, let's continue. Stage 3, defend your castle. So, we've been thinking about these games, metaphor-wise, and been deciding what exactly this means when it comes to Flash. Well, we know that Flash used to be the king of multimedia. It was the go-to game-making software for anyone that wanted to make something from their home. It reigned supreme in its castle of several $100 worth of software that you had to keep buying new versions of every year. And they had only a temporary free trial, if even that. And they didn't care one bit about just letting you use the software for free, even if it was limited. Because all they cared about was their money, because they were a corrupt, tyrannical king. But then the rebels came. The rebels like Game Maker and Unity and Stencil. And they all decided that they thought that they could do a better job at ruling multimedia. Almost halfway to build the temple. And so they got their rebels and they decided to storm the castle of Flash. And Flash thought that nobody would help the rebels because who would care to help the peasants that would dare to assault the king of Flash? But little did they know that the people adored the rebels. They adored being able to simply make games using software that didn't cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And they cared about not just being shoved to a temporary free trial, and that they would actually want to use the system forever. Maybe just add on a watermark to their games, and that was it, and otherwise be able to make games for free. And Flash didn't realise until it was too late that maybe it was a terrible idea, their business practice that they've been doing all these years, and that people just simply didn't care for them. And so the rebels came to the gates of Flash. They came to storm it. And of course, Flash put up a great resistance. With their god fist that could pick up and throw people, they continued to destroy everything in their path. We could almost afford the temple, but not quite yet. Stage 5. Defend your castle. And so they abused all their powers. They were the market leader after all. They had great dominance in the industry. And they could file all sorts of complaints and lawsuits if they so wished. Did they do that? I haven't checked. I'd rather not be accused of libel, but then again, since they're now dying, it's not like it really matters. We now have 5,000 points. And so they tried everything they could to destroy everybody who came for them. But in the end of the day, even sites like Newgrounds began to feature less and less Flash, because people started to use other systems. You can now play Unity games on Newgrounds. So Newgrounds perhaps was this castle, the castle of Flash. The monarch of Adobe was hanging out inside Newgrounds, hoping that they could weather the storm, but little did they know that Newgrounds had started to recruit people. They started to allow Unity and Game Maker and Stencil inside the walls. And little by little, the people started to dissent. They began to question, why exactly do we need Flash? Why exactly do we need to spend so much money or pirate? Of course, no one ever pirated it. That would be foolish. We just bought a temple. Now we can see what this temple will do. And so with the temple, what we're able to do now is the final thing that Flash had in its pocket. He decided maybe it would try and control its competition. And so it would steal people and drag it into their Flash system and tell them to make games with it. They tell them to support them. But in reality, well, they didn't really do much. And so they simply... I'm trying to figure out what to do with that up there. I thought I could drag him and pull him out, but it didn't seem to be working. Anyway, what was I getting at? Don't bang on my door, please. But Flash, of course, would try and steal all these people and make them work on their games, but then these people in the end would only betray them because they'd realise, why should I make games with Flash, which is really annoying and hard to use and isn't really that capable, and whenever I try and make a game with it, there's a high chance that the game is just going to end up having slowdown when there's too much happening on it because Flash is a terrible system. And so we thought maybe we could try using Unity instead. And so... oh, it looks like we can spend 6,000 points. We could almost buy an archery range. Do we have a Saurus? Not yet. We do not have a Saurus yet. It was decided that they would simply use the better systems that were out there, the free systems that you could use for free. And then Flash maybe thought that the one thing that they had that nobody could ever beat them on was variety and ease of use, because people made tutorials for Flash. They're all over Newgrounds. Tutorials of how to use ActionScript. But little did they know that with Unity, not only were there tutorials, but you could also purchase pre-made packages that could help you make games. Of course, people would go on to begin trying to sell those as their own games and completely defy the whole point of doing it, but the point is that they exist. And so we're going to ignore all of that for the time being, because the point is that Flash didn't do that. At least as far as to my knowledge. With Flash, you had to make it all yourself, even if you used a tutorial. And so lots of people simply decided that using other systems were better. Because the tutorials were easier to use, and they came with example games. And you could run them with pretty much anything. The Flash continued to try and control more people's lives. They tried to sucker people into paying the exorbitant fee, with claims that maybe their games would be worthwhile. But the people started to get to the gates, and it became all too clear that perhaps Flash was flawed. Flawed more than anyone would care to believe. Let's buy ourselves an archery range, and I believe we should probably fortify our walls. Because we are starting to get through. So we're just going to start fortifying our walls a bit, and then we'll continue. So we now have archery. Flash attempted to fight people, using the very people that came to try and defeat Flash. Flash corrupted them and forced them into their castle to work with the tyrannical Adobe. They were forced onto the ramparts, and they were forced to fight. And they had to see as they killed all their old allies. They shot them from a distance, from the castle ramparts, and they knew that one day their old allies would make it through. They knew that when they eventually did make it through, that they'd destroy the castle, and that perhaps they would die along with Adobe, the tyrannical monarch, for their crimes against their old allies. But to be honest, I think that they all just started to accept that. Since after all, why would you wish to live if you betrayed everyone that you loved? And the people all came. They came for Flash. And the other people were thrown onto the walls. They were told to defend. The tyrannical Adobe claimed that maybe if they spent their lives defending them, they could perhaps refurbish some of their money. Or they were told that enough people would play their game who would they would make their lives better. And those people would be willing to fight for them. But we have to pay upkeep to all of these people that we were corrupting to serve us. And when you pay for too much upkeep, you can't really get any funds back. And now the people have loaded on the screen. They weren't here before. So now we can actually see as they murder all their old allies in cold blood. Perhaps they just hope that sooner or later enough of them will break through in order to destroy them. And here he comes with a battering ram. One of them thought that perhaps they would have a better chance at destroying the castle of Adobe if they came with their own weapons. And they arrived with tools to create brand new games, the like of which Flash could never even imagine. They managed to fight off the temptation to include the all too limiting slowdown into their game-making software. But Flash continued to fight back. They knew that this couldn't continue forever, but perhaps they were foolish enough to believe their own lies. The lies that they told to the people they put on the ramparts. The lies that they told to all of their allies. The allies that thought that they had their best interest in mind, but in reality, they didn't care whether they lived or died. All they cared about was the monarch, Adobe. All they cared about was Flash. The Newgrounds remained a castle for them all these years. They never once questioned whether featuring all of Flash over other systems was a good idea or not. And now it's by the Demolitions Lab. So with the demolitions lab, we can click on one of our men and we can send them out into the fields. And we just ran past everyone, because perhaps I was supposed to explode them like that. And so that was Adobe's next move with Flash. They weren't satisfied with simply corrupting everybody. They decided that if you weren't going to support Flash, then you weren't going to support anything. They sent people out into the fields. And they made them pay with their very lives. And now, of course, all of the men did all they could to reach the castle, because they knew what was happening. They knew the horrors, the tragedy, the downright vile acts that were taking part in this castle, where they were sending out people from Newgrounds to destroy their competition with their very lives. They had to stop them no matter what. And then even more people came out. It was all for nothing. If only they weren't being corrupted by Flash. If only they weren't being lied to. If only they weren't told that making Flash games was what all indie developers should do. Then perhaps they could have been spared their lives. They could have done something more productive. And they might not have died. But of course this is all simply too late to talk about this now. Flash corrupted people for long enough. They made sure that anyone who would stand against them would suffer. And, well, we're seeing the consequences. Do we have a sore wrist? Yeah, I think we're starting to get a sore wrist now. But once again, just like Flash, X-Gen Studios are not willing to help us. The page is not found, because just like Flash, they don't care about us anymore. So, perhaps we should repair ourselves. We are getting quite wounded now. But maybe we should just continue and try and build a workshop. Let's try and build a workshop. We may want to hire some more people up here. So of course, all of these people are going to start becoming very expensive to Flash to fund them. But at the same time, it feels like they may be needed. Because they are going to put off the attackers for long enough. Oh, I was just about to send someone off then, but all of our people on the ramparts did their job. It's expensive, but they're doing their jobs. They're doing exactly what they are paid for. But they're starting to reach for walls with the battering rams. They're arriving with all of their superior games. And they're battering the door of Newgrounds. They're trying to tell everyone not to listen to Flash. They're trying to tell everyone that there's a better way to play games. If only you believed. Stop trusting Flash, who are just sending people to their deaths. Believe in the people. For the love of all that Newgrounds stands for. Everything by everyone. Please allow us to play better games. Allow us to have better movies. And allow us to feature all the art. Of course, the art has nothing to do with Flash. But it's on Newgrounds nonetheless. And we're about to lose. We're about to lose. Our last ditch effort is to send off one last guy. Send them off into the fields. It's the only way that we have to save Flash. Send everyone off into the fields. But even then it wasn't enough. And we barely survived. We barely survived. We now have enough money for a workshop. We have 14 health. Let's get a workshop. Let's repair. And let's try and weather the storm. Let's fortify the walls. And let's repair the walls a little bit more. And let's continue. Our castle's at full strength. It's stage 12. And now we have a workshop. But in order to use it, we'll need to first gather more troops. We need to steal more people, but we sent them all off into the fields to die. Because Flash was so foolish, even in his dying breath, it didn't realise the harm it was doing to its own brand until it was too late. I'm starting to get overwhelmed here. But maybe, just maybe, with the workshop, we can keep on going. We don't have a workshop just yet because we need to last until the next round in order to see the people on it. My hands are getting hurt. My wrist is getting sore. And I miss clicking. This could be the end of Flash, but we still have a lot of health left. But our health pool is going down. My click's getting too slow now. But we now have our workshop running at full speed. So it would seem like what our workshop does is it repairs it for us. It repairs our castle. So the workshop is effectively all of the hard-working employees who are being forced by Adobe to work on Flash. They're being told to bring out new versions, and the workers say, why? Why would we do this? What would this mean for us? Units lost, 11 archers and 5 craftsmen. We just lost all of our people. You see, here's what happened. We thought, like Flash and Adobe thought that they had full market control. But in reality, look what happened. Everyone betrayed them. They all realized the error of their ways. They realized the problems of Flash. And they realized that Newgrounds could do better. And now everyone comes to the walls and there's nothing left to defend us. There's nothing left. Everyone we knew is gone. We can't click quick enough. And it looks like Adobe is gone. It looks like that's the end of Flash. They raided the castle. And they dethroned the monarch. And they tore Adobe out of Newgrounds. And with that said, Flash was finally destroyed. There was nothing we could do about it. We tried our best. We did everything that we could to try and make sure that we could live. We sent off so many indie developers to their deaths. And yet in the end of the day, everyone realized that it was a better idea to jump ship. And so they all abandoned us. And I'm afraid that's the end of Flash. It's just going to become a decaying husk now. It's in the year 2021, the 1st of January. Less than 20 days away. Flash is finally going to die. And there's nothing they can do to defend against that.